Can you see my screen?
Yep, we got you.
All right. So I'm Gerald Carter. I am co-founder of Diversity Photos. We started the platform in 2016 to really address problems that we saw. We couldn't find images that looked like us or our clients. So we created Diversity Photos to fill that gap. And in the process of growing and getting new content, learning more about the industry, we also try to utilize some of the cool new tools out there, some of the AI related tools, such as some of the auto tagging, auto keywording, because anyone who's a stock photographer know that the keywording part is probably one of the most cumbersome pieces of it. But yeah, so we tried to use some of those tools out there by all your major brands, and it just wouldn't work for our content. Like we might have a beautiful black woman and it labels her as a gorilla or ugly, for example, right? So seeing things like that over and over again, it just piqued our interest in how can we help solve this problem. um Go to the next, which kind of we've seen this over and over again, not only from our own experiences, a lot of things, and a lot of news articles, a lot of things that happen from dermatology apps not working with darker skin tones to, I mean, it runs a gamut of all the ways biases have creeped into AI products, which led us to how can we be a part of this solution. And we started talking to some companies and realized that, oh, what we have, the images that we have, the content that we create can actually be useful to combat some of these biases. All right, so when it comes to computer vision, we know it all starts with the data. No matter what situation you're working with, it can be self-driving cars. It needs to understand people and the roadways and all the objects within it. Facial recognition systems. So you unlock your phone and it understands a face, is all because it was some training data that it started with. Theft detection, or the fun filters that we might use on Snapchat or Instagram, any of those type of platforms. All of that is made possible because of the underlying data. There's AI, there's a model that understands what a face looks like. It can be real time or static, like within an image or video. And one of the things in this journey of getting into the AI space, we started to figure out or start to learn a lot about where the data is coming from. And it was really shocking. And here are a few examples. Like one of the largest data sets out there, ImageNet, has 15 million images, all sourced from the web, right? So just scraping the web. There's the Coco data set, 330,000 images, all coming from Flickr. So imagine you upload your photographer upload your images to Flickr, is now part of a data set. Facebook, this is one of the ones that was alarming to me, is 1 billion images used from Instagram. If you posted images on Instagram, more than likely your images have been part of a data set. And probably one of the biggest ones that I've seen to date is this company Clearview, that has 10 billion images, all scraped from the web, Facebook, and Twitter. Right. So just think about that. Like, this is how data sets have been created for at least from an academia standpoint, to progress the computer vision space. But I know, you all creators, you're probably wondering, but is that good? For me as a creator, no, right? I think of copyright infringement, I think of theft, but from the academia standpoint, their argument tends to be it was is out there on the web, so you made it available for people. There's also the non-commercial use loophole. Let's say someone's in academia and then they go to a corporate world, but they created a model using your data in academia. It's kind of like this loophole. One of the biggest questions that I've learned in this process is, how did you get the data? Is it ethical? Or really, like what I like to say, is it informed consent, right? So, if you sign up for, social media platform and you didn't really read the privacy settings, but you have your account now and you submit your images, you technically have given them consent to use it as a data set and use it commercially. Same thing for a lot of free photo storage solutions. It seems awesome because you get this free storage, but what are you giving up? You're giving them the rights to use your content as a data set. Same thing even with stock platforms, right? If you companies might use it to, update their algorithm or create tools that they can turn around and improve search, or turn around and sell us something that can help us with our editing process. A lot of times that hasn't been through consent. We provided images, but it wasn't through consent. And then the other part of it, that you probably know, is, was there explicit consent for the people within the images, right? Because if it's scraped from the web, we know that, you most likely you didn't get that license for that image, and then it might not even be an image that has been cleared, or the person has provided the actual rights to use it in machine learning and AI space. Another thing that we've learned in this process of creating data sets is we have to think about the way we protect it a little bit differently than we do from the advertising perspective. For example, from advertising, we might think, if we have a, thumbnail image, a company or brand won't use that image for on a billboard, which makes sense. But in the computer vision space, from what we're seeing from customers, they don't need high resolution. A thumbnail is really all they need, right? If I give a customer a 50 megapixel image, they're going to scale it down to 32 by 32, 64 by 64, right? So starting with a thumbnail is plenty for computer vision. So that's not really a protection for the AI data set space. And then similarly with watermarks, that can seem like a protection from the advertising space, because a company's not going to want to use that to, in any type of branding, and it wouldn't be advised. But you can reverse engineer that for the computer vision space. You can remove the watermark if it's, static. And I know there are some brands out there who try to vary the watermark so that it's not as easily reverse engineered, but you can still get usable content. Which brings me to the other part about the protection is, it comes down to understanding the value of the content and then the business use case of it. So for us, now that we realize how our images can be assessed, we've been taking a step back, removing content from places where we don't have control of, how it's licensed within the data set, or even if we any type of control over the pricing. Because one thing we see is data sets have a more enticing pricing than the stock industry, where it's been going closer to, the dollar, and free is what a lot of companies have been pushing towards. The data set industry is the complete opposite. But so all that to say, I see an opportunity here, right? So where's the opportunity? Well, there's still a need for more and more data. There's a countless number of startups out there, even larger organizations, that have different initiatives, and they all need data, and ethically sourced data. So that's the next bullet point. Consent is almost like a gold mine right now. If you have consent from users to use their images, not only just commercially, because that's kind of a low hanging fruit. It's like a low bar, but getting their explicit consent that it can be used within AI machine learning space within a data set. That's where it seemed to be more lucrative from our perspective. And for us, a couple of years ago, we realized that we were getting into the space, so we added some terminology within our model releases, and make sure it's upfront and clear that, we also include this not only in advertising and marketing, but also for data sets and machine learning scenarios. And then the licensing, what we've been seeing, we offer basically like two types of licenses, and it's more favorable than, one sale here, one sale there. Typically, we have a bulk amount of images all being sold at the same time at a fair price. And then enrichment services. So some of the is one of the easiest things to do when it comes to creating your data set is, having like the keywords and the images. But really, there's an entire another level to it when it comes to annotations, so that computer vision and machine learning can actually understand what's within the images a little bit better. But next thing I want to talk about is really probably one of the biggest points right now is partnerships. So what we're seeing is there's actually an advantage for the smaller companies right now, like ourselves being a small boutique agency, because we have more insights into the content and how it was created. And when you really think about it, at the end of the day, what computer vision is understanding, right? Understanding some context, which you might not get just from being in a mass, 200 million images type of data set or database. You don't get that type of the information. So there's actually an opportunity here for the smaller agencies like ourselves to even partner with other smaller agencies to create sizable data sets that can then move this forward within the AI and computer vision space. But I know we don't have that much time, but I just wanted to give that overview right quick of what we're doing. We've migrated from simply just stock images to now also providing our images as training sets and for computer vision and machine learning applications.